Hello, Shadi. I'm here, Ravi Gupta here. Welcome all our delegates for the World Education Summit. We are on day 4 of this mega summit. This is perhaps the biggest education summit organized in Asia, and it's all virtual in the times of a pandemic. And those who are joining us for the first time virtually. Let me just inform you that World Education Summit, this is the 17th editions. We have done 16 editions till now in the cities like Delhi, Hyderabad, Mumbai, Dubai, Paris, and also in University of Denver. And also we have done some satellite parts of this event in London, also in Thailand and Malaysia and in a few other countries. And over the last few days, uh, we have been joined by more than 2,000 delegates on live on our platform, which is a 3D platform developed by ILETS. It's called Avatar, and you can see this event on avatar.iletsonline.com and feel the virtual experience of attending an event on a 3D platform with a 3D expo and a lobby and interact with delegates and exhibitors and speakers. So, Dr. Bashir Ahmed Shadrach is one of the prominent leaders in the field of education, and he is right now advisor skills at Commonwealth of Learning, Canada. And so, requesting Dr. Shadrach to kindly make his presentation at this World Education Summit. Welcome, Dr. Shadrach. Thanks for joining us. Namaskar.
Namaskar. Thank you, Dr. Ravi Gupta. It's been a pleasure associating myself with ELETS and CSDMS since the very beginning in 2001, around 2000, probably, isn't it? 2003 onwards, kind of.
Yeah.
So, we had a very great journey for a long time. Although in the recent years, since I moved to Canada, I live in Vancouver. I've not been in that regular touch with Dr. Gupta. I always admired at the way that he has made everything mega, everything really big and huge. So on the very outset, I want to congratulate him for sustaining this effort over a period of almost 2 decades now. He has been a pioneer in introducing ICTs in various streams in life, whether it is governance, environmental protection, economical stimulation, education, health, agriculture, name it. He has pioneered promotion of knowledge, bringing people together, networking people online and also face-to-face. He has organized multiple events, and for perhaps for a change, he has been doing this online these days. Otherwise, we are used to gathering people in a particular location, and nothing like networking during coffee hours and at the marketplaces, at the exhibition halls, and at the conference rooms. So he has been a great networker and knowledge sharing champion. So thank you, Dr. Gupta, for organizing this particular event at a time that the pandemic has really enabled all of us to realize the importance of ICTs in promoting the common value among people. And in this case, through the school education community, we have witnessed in the recent past how India has championed promoting education for children much better than the higher education community. The school education community, hats off to the teachers and the teacher educators and the principals. We have witnessed the adoption of technology very rapidly among the school community. But to tell you the truth, the higher education community is still lacking the skills and the ability to adapt to the online systems. Of course, their system is a little more complicated because the assessment is quite rigorous. But notwithstanding the fact the teachers have shown the way, So I would like to congratulate all the teachers present here, the school community that is present here, that you have done really marvelous work. And as compared to many other countries, particularly I can speak for the Commonwealth, India has shown a bigger way, a greater resilience to the pandemic in terms of quickly running into the online education mode and demonstrating the value of online education amongst the children, school-going children. So today I want to really touch upon some of the aspects of the Commonwealth of Learning, which is an intergovernmental organization based out of Vancouver. We also have an office, a regional center in Delhi called SEMCA, which caters to the South Asian and East Asian Commonwealth countries. Otherwise, we work in 54 Commonwealth countries, and I would like to quickly use this opportunity to share some of the work that we have been doing in the Commonwealth countries quickly for your benefits, so that not only do I introduce my organization, but also by way of doing so, I invite you to collaborate with our organization. And I also have an offer to make, Dr. Gupta, at the end of the session, an offer to make, and if it is interesting and attractive, you could really take up that offer.
Sure.
As I mentioned, the Commonwealth heads of the Commonwealth countries gathered together in 1987 when they all decided to set up this institution. Of course, the Commonwealth was set up when Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru was the Prime Minister, and he lent a huge leadership to the Commonwealth. But since 1987, the Commonwealth governments decided to establish an institution to promote online education and training through the use of technologies. So, although today, because of the pandemic, we are embracing technology, this institution has been promoting for the past 25 years. And the bottom line is the triple bottom line. The Commonwealth of Learning is promoting learning for sustainable development in all the three streams. For economic growth, particularly amongst the informal economy, women who are at the forefront of informal economy, and also the peasants and artisans. Social inclusion, again, particularly the marginalized communities, how they can take advantage of ICTs and learn for the lifetime. And we have a special focus on environmental conservation, because the Sustainable Development Goals underpin the triple bottom line. But our main focus is Goal 4 of the Sustainable Development Goals, ensuring inclusive and equitable quality education and promotion of lifelong learning for everyone. And as you can imagine, the biggest community, the learning community, is the student community. So student community, right from the early child education to the higher education and tertiary and vocational education. When it comes to skills, the vocational skills, but also agriculture, farmers, women, self-employed entrepreneurs, people like Seva, for instance, in India, the LabourNet group in the southern part, who are working with migrant laborers who lost their livelihoods. So we have a plethora of programs, not only among school children and college children and higher education children, students, but also amongst communities. And we try to strike a gender balance so that technology is not just in the hands of the privileged, but also the underprivileged, particularly striking a balance between men and women. So that's our focus. As you can see, we work with a variety of people in variety of domains. And globally, we have an opportunity to touch upon millions and millions of lives. Particularly when it comes to the pandemic, we have seen that, thanks to the internet penetration, which stands above 50% globally, but in Africa and the Pacific, the internet penetration is lower as compared to the Caribbean and Asia, which is relatively doing better. And India is marginally better than many other Asian countries. Of course, Korea and Singapore and Vietnam and others are actually progressing very fast, Malaysia. But India, for its complexities, has done extremely well in terms of providing internet connectivity to people in rural areas. But we have a long way to go. In fact, and the pandemic has also shown that connectivity, cost of electricity and power supply, quality content when it comes to the use of ICTs for education, and the capacity of teachers. These are the issues in education that we have recognized. Although we have recognized this for the past 25 years, now there is an urgency for us to address these issues. So Commonwealth of Learning, responding to these challenges, has been putting out country-level advisories, guidance to the governments. We build the capacity of teachers in embracing technology for education. We also respond to certain countries in a specific manner. Certain countries may come out and say that we want to transform our education into blended learning. We want to create dual mode universities. We want to transform the vocational stream. We want to train millions of teachers in our country. So when they come to us with certain requests, we respond to them in a collaborative manner. Particularly in this pandemic, we have realized that the children cannot go to school, so the schools have to come to the children, and which is what you've been marvelously doing as school community. But we see that there is a greater need. And this statistics itself shows the need for transforming education. Although the new education policy allows for certain transformation, but when it comes to embracing open schooling, which used to be only in the hands of, say, National Open School in the case of India, NAMCOL in the case of Namibia, and similar institutions in the Commonwealth and around the countries, around the world, we have seen that the cost of education is lower, but unfortunately the quality of education has also been not that good. But now with this pandemic, the schools have actually embraced open schooling. Schools have started going to the homes of students. So we have a new opportunity to create a blended model where formal secondary schools and open schools can work collaboratively, and while the formal secondary schools also can enhance open schooling in a bigger way. So one small thought is, if a particular school is catering to, say, 1,000 pupils or 2,000 pupils at the secondary level, can we now think about catering to 20,000 children instead of 2,000 children? So is it possible for us in doing so? Can we bring down the cost of education so that now the parents are not willing to pay the same level of fee for their wards? So now if we have a balancing act, reduce the fees but increase the intake, and also use technology as a medium to communicate and convey our learning objects, there is a greater possibility. So the formal education system can embrace not only more number of children, but also use their managerial bandwidth, the techniques, the resilience, and their quality. And they've demonstrated, both government formal schools and private formal schools have shown the quality of education in the recent years. So can we now also touch upon the out-of-school children who are not able to go to school because of a variety of reasons, whether it is migrant issue, whether it is pandemic, whether it is economic constraints, and so on. So there is something for us to think about. And in this aspect, we have come out with a lot of policy advisories, including something of this kind. How can schools become more resilient, and what are the possible models for the future? So if anybody is interested, we can circulate the copies of this. When it comes to tertiary and higher education, we have seen that unfortunately, for a huge population, almost more than half of the world's population lives in Asia, and the similar number lives in Commonwealth countries, and we have only 33 open universities as compared to tens and thousands of formal universities. There is a need for us to now look at it very closely. For instance, look at the Open University China, which has an enrollment of 2.3 million students, which delivers quality education at 40% of the cost. The Central China Radio and Television University, now it is known as the Open University China. Similarly, IGNO, at 35% of the cost, they are able to reach out to 1.2 million students. And the Open University, for half of the cost, they are able to deliver quality education to 200,000 students. Similarly, in Pakistan, you can see the number. Now, there is an opportunity for the university system, which is also embracing online education, particularly the Western universities that have switched over to the online mode, to enhance the quality of online education, quality of online institutions, and challenge the IGNOs and the central universities and open universities with models where the private and public universities, the traditional face-to-face universities, could also introduce online education, so that a large number of students and young people who are outside the education system. In fact, only 2% of the learning population enters the higher education. 98% do not enter. And they all need a lifelong education, because every 4 years, people need to change jobs in various professions today because of automation and change in technology and so on. So there is a need for lifelong learning. Could universities now come up with new models? Is a question facing all of us. So we have put out guidelines on distance education during COVID and several other publications of this kind. We also see the need for embracing open education resources. Now, content is really scarce, and content is available mainly in the private hands. Although the public sector has some content, these are all largely textbooks, NCERT textbooks, and textbooks alone. But education resources are beyond textbooks. The large number of further reading material, and particularly within the context of augmented reality and virtual reality, there are more ways to communicate the same concepts in a joyful manner, in a manner that children can understand difficult concepts, whether it is negative numbers, integers, or some experiments in chemistry, or particularly in STEM subjects. There is a greater opportunity for us to create content in virtual and augmented and extended reality scenarios. Not only e-content, but going further down. So there is a future for us. Could the school education community form its own OER community and share resources? If one school creates one small video in explaining a particular concept using, say, AR, VR, or even a formal video system, could 2,000 other schools contribute similar resources, and could they come up with a pool of open education resources, so there is content available at your disposal, and you could always use the OER in online learning practices. So you could share online courses, you could provide open technological tools, you could build capacity. So there is a lot of peer-to-peer support you could come up with. Similarly, in places where the internet connectivity is very, very not that good, and in this case, in the Pacific countries where these island nations are very, very distributed in a large ocean, in the largest ocean, we have come up with the use of video on demand, both on television as well as on online means, promoting content in STEM and STEAM subjects. So this is something that we are creating for the Pacific. But there are multiple examples even in India through, say, Asim Premji, or many other education alliances and others have come up with similar experiences. So what we need is development of OER policies, and the use of open education resources, so that we don't end up paying for content. Rather, content is available, knowledge is available for free. So in the pandemic times, teachers are the champions. We have come out with a large number of programs in terms of not only helping teachers to embrace mobile learning, multimedia techniques, but also cybersecurity, how to protect our children from online attacks, safety, and how we could also promote blended learning, not everything online, but also certain things offline as well, so that the children can practice in their own homes and places where they are located to learn beyond what our teachers teach online. So when it comes to teaching and teacher education, in this case, the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago approach Commonwealth of Learning to train all the teachers in their country in online practices. So we have come up with a MOOC that enables them to do so. And not only the formal teaching community, we work with peasants, in this case with Mandeshi Foundation in India. We are working with Mobi MOOC, an innovation which works on simple phones, not on smartphones, but a large number of people in India who are economically poor use feature phones, not smartphones. So we are using audio-based learning capsules to them on a daily basis to support them in their learning needs. We also have a device called Aptus, which works like a local intranet, which could enable teachers and community members to share content in that small device. And all that people need to do is to synchronize their devices, whether it is smartphone or an ordinary phone or a laptop or anything, to this device. So even if there is no connectivity, we can reach out to people through this collaborative learning device. This is something that we have been promoting in the Caribbean and the Pacific in particular. And community radios, as you can see, are also useful tools. Of late, we have not seen much of the use of community radio for formal education, but for a variety of literacy, particularly in the pandemic times, we have seen a lot of advisories put out. We also have a tool called MOOCit. Those schools and universities who do not have a formal content management system can approach us. We can on the fly create a system for them so that they can use it for their community. Up to 2,000, 5,000 people who belong to the same school can actually log into MOOCit. So you don't need to have a Moodle platform or any technical experience or knowledge. You can simply plug and play with MOOCit. We have developed this with IIT Kanpur in India, which we make available for countries like Namibia, Ghana, Kenya, and others as we speak. We have also put out soon after the pandemic introductory videos as to how one can teach in digital age. So this is quite popular. It's a self-learning course. And the offer that I was going to make was around this partnership that we have with Commonwealth of Learning and Coursera. So if Dr. Gupta and the school community is interested, what we can do is we can provide free access to about 5,000 courses. And certain courses are available, which I don't know if you can see my screen, if I show this particular screen.
We can see it. Yeah.
Can you see the screen?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, there are 191 courses on online education, basic inclusive design for online education, MOOC and blended learning. These are all very short courses, 8-hour, 10-hour courses, which may be very helpful to the teaching community. So, and the beauty of this is that these are all certified by reputed universities. In this case, the University of Colorado Boulder is actually providing the certification. It's just a 7-hour course for beginners. Any teacher can spare about a day to complete this course. So we have free licenses to give. So we can give free scholarships to all your teachers. We can take 20,000, 50,000 teachers and provide them with access to this for the next 3 months up to the 31st of March. But you have to actually join this program before the 31st of December and access any of the courses that are there. There are 5,000 courses, short courses, not only in education, but also on a variety of other skills like teaching, education, entrepreneurship, online learning, marketing, communication, and so on. And at the end of the course, when you complete it, you get a free certification awarded by good universities that are participating in this program. And we have a partnership with Coursera, and we have purchased licenses, but we are giving it free for Commonwealth countries, particularly for those who are eager to join. So all those people who are participating in this particular event, World Education Summit, if Dr. Gupta is interested, we can give them free scholarship to them for the next 3 months. You could audit, access any number of courses and get certified during the next 3 months, which may be very helpful, not only in terms of enhancing your own education, but also gain skills. And as you can see, we have a variety of courses in Coursera in computer science and data sciences, information technology, in health, personal development, which is quite popular, and also language learning, not only English language learning for the second language people, but also foreign languages as well. So I want to simply give this offer to Dr. Gupta so that if he's interested, we can admit all the teachers as our learners for the future. So
Sure.
before I conclude, I also want to touch upon only two aspects. We work with all the migrant workers through this LaborNet, an institution in southern part of India, particularly in terms of promoting skills among the migrant laborers. There is a new profession that is emerging, which is sanitization and health hygiene workers, hygiene entrepreneurs. So not only vehicles need to be sanitized, public offices need to be sanitized. There is a new dimension to sanitization happening, and we see in a country like India, there could be a million, more than millions of workers who have lost livelihoods could become sanitization and health entrepreneurs in their own right, and a large number of these could be women who could go out and sanitize. Otherwise we only know people who come and clean our schools. The support staff who simply clean, but now there is a need to clean not only the desks and benches, but also the computers and the objects people commonly touch. So there is a need for this. So we have come up with a curriculum. We are training a large number of people in this domain. So the Commonwealth of Learning actually is involved in not only in the formal systems, but also informal workers. Working with young girls and also striking the gender balance, working in vocational and in technical education streams, gender balance in terms of promoting technology. We've also come up with a partnership which anybody can join. It's a university and education institution partnership called the Open Door, where people can join and share resources and take resources. And a large number of institutions have joined, including UNESCO, LESCO, ACU, and others. But we also invite school consortiums, others. So with this, a brief introduction to the Commonwealth of Learning, I wish to end my presentation. And if I have still any time left, I'm happy to answer any questions. But you are welcome to write to me at bshadrack@col.org. And you could communicate through Dr. Ravi Gupta also. And also if any teacher or the participants of the summit is interested to take advantage of this free scholarship on Coursera for the next 3 months, we are happy to provide that offer. Thank you.
Sure. I think thanks for giving these excellent presentations on Commonwealth of Learning initiatives, and especially in these COVID times, Dr. Shadi. Let's say we are honored to have you here. And may I request that if any of the attendees want to see the list of those courses, and they can select, and they can then approach you. So is there a online link where they can actually see browse the course list?
Yeah, they can go to www.coursera.org/browse. They can
Okay.
see the list of courses. They can type their favorite subjects, topics, and search for courses, because there are 5,000 free courses available. But when it comes to admitting them, we would like to do it through you, so that CSDMS can. All that we need is the name and the email address, and the country from where they are joining. And we also want to give a gender balance, so we would like to know if the person is a male or a female. We don't need
Okay.
any other information. If this
Okay.
information can be collated by your colleagues and forwarded to us, we can invite them in one go. So even
Okay.
if the entire delegation can be invited, but it's up to them whether they want to join, because
Sure.
the invitation would go to each one of them. If they want to join, they can join. If they don't want to join, they can ignore the invitation. But because you've invited me, and you are doing such a great service to the education community, I thought through CSD, through ELET Technomedia, we can make this possible for your constituency, so that if they want to take advantage of this offer, they can join any course and get certified, and there is no cost attached to it. It's all free of cost. But the access will end on the 31st of
December.
March.
Oh,
And
March.
beyond 31st of March 2021, we can always discuss this, Dr. Gupta, at leisure. We can see if we can do any further service to our community beyond the 31st of March. But currently, because for the pandemic, we have this relationship with Coursera, we're making it available completely free.
Okay. So you are saying that people have to log on the Coursera website and browse for the free courses, right?
Yes, but they cannot simply immediately join. They need to be invited through us, through
Okay.
CSDMS, and through ELETS Technomedia and Commonwealth of Learning. So
Okay.
once they receive an invitation through the link, they can formally join. But before joining, if they want to know what kind of courses are available, they can go to www.coursera.org/browse and see a list of courses for themselves. But if
Okay.
they want to join, then ELETS and call need to send an invitation to them,
Perfect.
so that they are
Perfect.
eligible to receive the free scholarship.
Got the point. And Dr. Shadrach, if you have any structured email on this offer, like we can actually shoot out to all the delegates who are attending, so that they have the info in a organized way. So if you have one, we'll be happy to send it to everyone.
Sure, sure. Now, how
Okay.
many delegates are attending this event?
So like around 1,000 people are like right now live here on this platform. So
Okay.
like.
In fact, we have also courses for children, which I can show you.
Okay.
The courses for children is very interesting. If of course, many children would be going on breaks now. So,
Hmm.
there are free courses for high school students, which they can also promote. So even if the teachers would want to nominate any children for joining this program, we are happy to basically help them. It's not just the formal subjects. They can access many other things that can take their mind off. In the pandemic, because people are really suffering, guitar, playing the guitar, or doing anything beyond education is also good for students. So there are many other courses that they can think about.
Perfect. Perfect. Uh, Great presentation, Shadrach, and uh, I think I will also just like touch upon, like request you to ask you about what are you any specific initiatives in the higher education area and school area, like yeah, okay, here is it. Uh,
Yeah,
few,
similarly, we have a lot of courses for higher education community, school education community. So it's a nice resource we have. At the moment, we have about 130,000 people studying online through us. And we have 20,000 more scholarships to give out. But if you can look at the kind of courses, they particularly for university students and school students, there are loads and loads of courses available with us.
And are these free courses?
Yeah, these are free, and the certification also is free. And until the 31st of this March, because we are sponsoring this.
Okay.
Because they will come under the sponsorship of in this case ELITS and Commonwealth of Learning. So they need not pay. They can easily freely access these courses, freely complete, and also get the certification signed by the university professor of different reputed universities around the world.
Okay. Perfect. And are there any resources on the COL website itself which are accessible for people to use?
Yes, there are many resources available. As I shown, the MOOC, Mobi MOOC has several resources. opendoor.col.org has a large number of resources that people could use. Then there is a site called MOOC for Development, MOOC for the numeric 4, development.org. MOOC for Development has a large number of courses, particularly for teachers. They can sign up. But these are all timely courses. We announce the course for 8 weeks, 6 weeks, so people can join and get certified. Whereas when it comes to Coursera, they can join anytime between now and December.
Sure. Great. So let me thank Dr. Shadrach for joining this session, and let me also thank Dr. Shadrach for being a great support for CSDMS, one of the sister organizations of ILETS, which was the earlier our focus area. And ILETS, like since 2003, Dr. Shadrach has been a great friend, mentor, and a guide for us, and his association we cherish, and we look forward to in the future also. So thank you so much. We are honored to have you, Dr. Shadrach, here.
Thank you so much for inviting me, and you've been doing a wonderful job, and continue to kindly help as many people as possible as you've been doing. And it's only growing now with online opportunity. You would be able to reach out to millions, from tens and thousands. So thank you.
Namaskar. Thank you. And this is a virtual certificate, Dr. Shadrach, presented to you by us. Thanks for joining us. Right. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.